So we do the book and then we do a reading. And as I said before, we're in 31 schools in Western Montana, and that's taken 26 years. We are mostly grant funded because the schools don't have any money, as we all know. And so we write grants nationally to pay our writers. And to be a writer in the collaborative, you have to have been published. You have to be a real author. You have to be someone who speaks about writing and language as though it were one's life, which for me it is. It saved my life. Poetry gave me my life because of one teacher in 5th grade who told me I could do it. Because they don't know what they have or what they can do until you suggest it. Then they learn, I can count to 1,000 in sign language and Greek. And then they start realizing they have these huge capacities. And maybe in math or science, they don't do so well. But when it's creative and when it's happening along with poetry, they can learn any amount. Let's see. So we struggle financially. We're a nonprofit, and we have 3 staff and 21 authors. And we have been able to get along through all of this thanks to the generosity of the NEA and private corporations and foundations that fund us. And I don't think they are even aware of the power that they are giving these children, how they are enriching these lives like nothing else could ever do. And we come out of it loving each other. And maybe that's the most important thing that we do. We write great poetry, we perform, but we love each other. And we've come to love each other through telling each other our truth. And that is so beautiful that when I leave the building, I'm 3 feet off the ground, walking on air. Because I'm a crazy poet and not a certified teacher, I get to hug kids. Now, this is pre-COVID, but usually when I walk into a 3rd, 4th, or 5th grade classroom, I'm mobbed with children hugging me. And the ones on the outside say, but I can't feel you. And I say, but you can feel my love through your classmates. And we have this huge huddle. I've fallen down a couple of times in the middle of these groups, but no matter how I'm feeling, when I walk into that classroom, whatever health issues I have, no matter how tired I am, once I have 30 children embracing me, I'm in great shape. Nothing hurts. I'm happy. And it is the most fulfilling work I can imagine anyone could ever do. And I can't go onto the streets of Missoula without being hugged by children. And I worked at the youth homes for a while. And so Bob said, you know, I love being out in public with you because all the hoodlums love you. So, do you have any questions? Yes.
Yes, hi. That was very inspiring. I'm a teacher, and I've just written down some things. I'm a retired teacher, still teach some piano, but anyway, you're very inspiring. That was wonderful. And so how do you get into the schools? Do the schools invite you to teach? How does that all work?
In the beginning, I just went to the district and I volunteered. And then I went into the district offices and told them about what I was doing and asked them if I could continue being a part of the curriculum. And at this point, 26 years ago, the education director said, parents don't want their kids writing poetry. They want them filling out job applications. And I said, okay, I'll teach that. And it's been 26 years. I haven't taught anybody how to fill out an application, but I snuck in. And then the school where I was volunteering, the principal wrote a retroactive grant to pay me, and then he approved us in Title I schools where we're really needed. It's been said that my program gives children in public schools a private school quality education.
Wow.
And then word gets around so that
Mhm.
when I contact a school and say, we have a writer, we'd like to, can I meet with you and the teachers? The teachers go, oh, we know her. Yeah, let's do this. This is good. So it's word of mouth largely.
Okay. So at this time, like, are you going to be in the schools via Zoom or whatever? Any plans?
Yes, I'm Zooming. I'm Zooming the 4th grade. And I'm also doing homeschool Zooms. But
Oh, cool.
I've had health issues and I don't want to expose myself to, as you all can
Sure.
feel yourselves. Why risk?
Right.
So,
So you're doing fourth grade all through MCPS, Missoula County?
yes, we
Oh,
are.
excellent. Thank you. Thank you for that.
We find if you can get a kid in 3rd or 4th grade to love their
Mhm.
writing, you've got a writer for life, whether it's
Yeah,
a profession or not, whether it's filling out applications or writing letters of complaint, you've got a
right.
writer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That'd be-
Yes.
Yes, I'd love to know what a poet laureate does and what doors that open for you.
Well, Poet Laureate, it lasts for 2 years. And so every school in Montana, every writing group asks for me to visit them. Well, I'm a good poet, but I'm not a good driver. So for the 2 years I was Poet Laureate, I took the Greyhound bus across Montana. It's 10 hours to Billings, and I went 4 times, 10 hours each way. And I was in one-room schoolhouses. I was everywhere. And, I when I finished, I wrote a book called Gray Dog, Big Sky. And it was about my adventures on the bus because my husband said, don't sit in the back. So of course, you know where I sat, in the back with the fun guys, as the bus driver called us. And so I wrote a book and I got it published and it won the High Plains Book Award, which is a national competition. So it worked out really beautifully for me. Some of them forge on and are not as concerned with if their jeans are tight enough or if they've got the right baseball cap on. They have instilled within themselves this faith and this love. And so they are quieter. They slip poems to me. I give them all my address and email and phone number, and they send poems to me. And then they get into high school and then they're writers again. They go to Big Sky and they write for Erie, which is a national publication now. And there's a lull in middle school, definitely, but it's already in them. If I can get them by 4th grade, by the time they're in high school, they'll go back to what they know. You know how hard middle school is.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed poetry to the degree that I've been exposed to it, but I can't say that it's like major to me, but I've always enjoyed prose, just, writing, sentences and paragraphs flowing on, creating, blocks of thinking. And I've done it most of my life. Can you compare the effect of poetry with the kind of writing that I seem to be engaged in?
Oh, certainly. Prose and poetry are a mountain and a waterfall. Prose is dense and fills the page. It's imagistic. It's full of soul and spirit and thought. Poetry is a waterfall, and its shape moves and changes so that the poem, the form of the poem itself is a part of the poem. So I think that poetry is just a lot wigglier than prose. Although I can't write prose myself. I start out trying to write a story or a book review, and by the fourth line, I'm down to 3 words a line. Wiggly, a wiggly 3. So that's how I know how to write, is what poetry makes me feel. As far as prose goes.
Thank you.
Marissa?
Yeah, well, I'm from Minneapolis and I'm Greek, so I feel like we should have a longer conversation sometime. But I also wanted to ask, I have a 3rd grader and we're doing the remote option because I'm nervous about COVID, and I probably know more about COVID than most people should. And I'm wondering what kind of options are available for some kind of homeschooling.
I will give you my email.
Okay.
And when you have some children and some interested mothers, you get in touch with me. Polikala.
I don't speak that well, but I could say 2 Connies and I can count to 10.
Well, you come with me. I'll teach you to count to 1,000.
Perfect.
My email is Sheryl Noethe, SHERYL Noethe @charter.net. I'm also in the phone book, and anyone can call me. I'm really available. I'm horribly available. Yes.
Me?
I am finding that thank you notes are a lost art. Do you ever wind that into your poetry?
When my mother fell down and broke her pelvis, I told my students about it, and they wrote her letters of sympathy. And one little girl, I'll never forget, she included this tiny silver plastic fork in the card that she made for my mom and said, I hope this helps you. And my mother called me and she was laughing. So we write letters of condolence, letters of thanks for a guest who came in. We do a lot of that by hand. I don't use computers in the classroom, no cell phones, pencil and paper. I'm Fred Flintstone when it comes to that.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Okay,
Yeah.
I could come up with something here. Do you have any suggestions or what we can, us old codgers, how we can get back to our second childhood memories and joys?
Yes.
How to-
Free write. Don't edit yourself. Put your pen or pencil to the paper and write everything that's on your mind, even if it's my foot itches. And eventually you will find your poem. It's called 10 Steps into the Forest. You have to make those 10 steps to get rid of the upper layer of things. I'm hungry, my stomach's growling. Why didn't I get more coffee? To suddenly, last night I dreamt again about my grandfather. I remember the smell of his house. I remember, and so it's all in there. It's in our DNA, our grammar and our writing. So just start and don't judge or edit yourself.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to enjoy my second childhood more than I did the first time.
I hear ya. I'm with ya. You know,
That's because you do it climbing trees, Jim.
I'm a tree hugger.
oh, cool. Well, I think my children keep me young and vital. What they give back to me is so much more than I could have ever given to any of them.
Uh-huh. I like to go to the young 3 to 4 and 5-year-olds and ask them for advice. You know, I have a question to ask. I have a problem to solve, and I ask them how to solve it, and I get really good answers.
Yeah, I ask them, make a list of things not to do. 1, don't cut the seat belts out of the new car to speed your parents' entry up. 2, don't put a PB&J sandwich in the video recorder. 3, don't spit on a lit light bulb. I don't know if y'all know about that one, but it's true. So they do a lot of describing how life goes.
Cheryl, can you provide us with, say, a story about some young child you're working with who, say, is dyslexic, has a very difficult time reading, spelling, even taking their thoughts and putting it down on paper? How are they able to perform in your particular instruction classes?
Whatever they are able to do, I find the good in it, and I show them, and I tell them what they're doing right, and I tell them, just don't stop. I encourage them. Now, I've had some children who have autism, and one boy would sit in the classroom like this, and he wouldn't take part. So I asked the other students to write his good qualities. And then they read to him what they considered his good qualities. And the next week, that kid wrote. And this 4th grade teacher I was working with, she talks about this. She wrote a testimonial for my organization saying that I had pulled this child out of where he was hiding and allowed him to see that he was loved and that whatever he created was good enough, and they get better. Also, one of my favorite quotes is, a 3rd grader said to me, do we have to wait till you stop talking to write, or can we start writing when we see you coming into the room? And then another one is hearing a middle school boy saying to a teacher who was scolding him, I'm not a loser, I'm an author. And that just warms my soul, because that teacher gave me the ability to transform myself and to describe who I am from my authentic self. And that's what this boy is doing too. You can't measure me. You can't call me a loser or a failure, because I have something. I am something. And boy, we all need that.
I've got a question. You alluded to the difference between, a 3rd or 4th grader and by the time you reach pubescence and adolescence. Why do you think we change in a relatively short time? What is the adaptive or maladaptive trajectory for the way we change from childhood to pre-adult to adult? Why is that?
Well, I think we start comparing ourselves and judging ourselves. And again, you don't compare your insides with someone else's outsides. We don't know what's happening with another person, but we can see that they're good in sports, they're popular, they got the new shoes, they got the right clothes, they know the right songs. And so we pull back because we are not that. What we are, what is the most important is unseen. And so they have to have faith in that. But I was swayed when I was 12 and 13 into the competition for clothing in boys. But my outlet of writing kept it on a more even keel. I just think they get this self-awareness, this criticalness of themselves, and they compare. The whole time they're growing up, the TV is spitting out at them what they're not good enough and what they can buy to look better. I have 2nd grade girls who tell me that no one is popular who weighs more than 65 pounds. They are being poisoned by the media, poisoned by advertising. I think whiskey and advertising are the two great curses of our culture. But then they come back to themselves.
I was wondering about what you think of Montana's collective consciousness.
That is a really tough question.
Well, you know Montana, you travel around.
Yeah, I know that teachers are dedicated to their students and put in so much time and concern and love. And I know that Montanans are respectful to each other and true to their word and want the best for their kids.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Well, Cheryl, you were talking about jokes early on. Have you got?
I have one for you.
Okay, go.
So this guy is walking along with his friend and he says, I got a joke for you. And his friend goes, okay. The guy goes, so these two mule skinners are fixing to, and the friend goes, wait, every joke you tell has mule skinners. Why can't you do like a nurse or a lawyer? Why can't you change the profession? The man goes, sure, okay. So these two doctors are fixing to skin a mule. And that joke is so great because you see them in their white coats, don't you? These two doctors. You immediately see the guys in the white coats and they're fixing to skin a mule. Freud said that humor is based on the fact that we all survived together this question to our intelligence and our inclusiveness, and that when we laugh together, it's release because I got the joke. I'm in the group. I speak the language. I grasp the concept.
Anyone else have any comments or questions or jokes?
Hey!
I just appreciate so much what Cheryl shared, and I think you can understand why over all these years we all keep coming back to be able to draw from this wellspring that we have connected with us. So thank you very much, Cheryl.
Oh, thank you. You are lovely people. I could sit here with you for hours.